but I ain't gonna leave, I'ma get right, down to the bottom and scratch it for all the...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up everybody, it's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I gotta give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. I'm here with my boy Fish and Frank on this lovely Monday evening. We are done with 10 weeks, only 4 more weeks to go in the regular season. Frank, how you doing, man? Is the panic set in anywhere? Or are you feeling good, or what's going on with you?
I'm feeling good in some leagues, other leagues, it's not going so well, but I had a pretty good week overall. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that in my home league I get to move up one spot here. It's always good to beat the guy just above you with the same record and get that win in there. So that's good. So yeah, no, it was a pretty decent week overall, man.
Yeah, I had a pretty good week too. As you guys know from the Friday show, I played a lot of Jamar Chase and Burrow, and I realized I have a lot of Baltimore and Bengals players on my teams. Got off to a good start. And at one point on Thursday, I was projected to go 18-0 on all my leagues. I have the screenshot to prove it. It didn't last, but I still went 15-3.
What was that, like 5 minutes into it?
No, it was actually right towards the end, right before his third touchdown, because I was actually playing against him against Jeezy in the ACG Veterans League, in the charity league. And so he was one of the ones that the only place actually that I was facing Chase. Still had a chance, but didn't come through. He got me good on that one, but I'll take 15-3 overall. And more importantly, I think I went like 6-0 or 8-0 on my paid leagues. I think it was 8-0 in my paid leagues. So that's always that gets me in a good mood when your real money leagues are the ones that are winning. So it's good stuff.
Right? You're like, you're gonna get some of that money.
Exactly. So yeah, man. So we just had Miami at the Rams. Rams came out, kind of laid an egg tonight. Not too much going on in that game. Tyreek ended up being active. He was kind of the one questionable coming into it. Came out right before the game saying that he has some type of torn ligament in his wrist, but is able to play through it. So who knows what that means? I don't know if it really maybe affects his catching per se, but more so like maybe if he's getting tackled and landed, or like stiff arms, or just kind of stuff like that. But who knows? So just something to kind of watch out on. Says it got re-aggravated. Remember when he got arrested a few weeks back and that whole issue? So said it got re-aggravated there. So so it's just kind of interesting game. We had Miami. They finally look like they're, coming together a little bit here. They were able to pull off the W and, kind of got the win. So came into the Rams house, got the win, and, they're kind of charging back. They're sitting at 3-6 now, but, knocks the Rams down to 4-5. Being a Niners fan, I like the Rams taking the L there. For fantasy, it kind of sucked. I know our own classic Mike lost by like just a point. All he needed was one more catch for Puka or Cup. And they ended up kicking a field goal with 30-10 with 48 seconds left. So he was pretty upset. So sorry about that, classic. I was hoping it'd come through for you. He almost did it without, I thought one of them would have to score a touchdown, but he almost made it happen without a touchdown. So there it is. So we appreciate you guys, man. If you have any questions, comments, let us know how you're doing 10 weeks through. Where are you sitting? Are you close to?
I still want to know how these the Chiefs keep pulling this undefeated season going off, man. I mean, they had to block that. I mean, they had it in the bag. All they had to do was make that field goal, and I'm like, what? It gets blocked. I was upset.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I'm not too upset. I mean, we haven't been able to beat the Chiefs, so the last people I wanted to beat the Chiefs were the Broncos. So kind of happy that happened. Validates our losses to them. They still haven't lost since, I don't know, it's been almost like literally a calendar year since the last time they've actually lost a game. Starting undefeated down, then obviously the playoff run through the Super Bowl, and whenever it was they had their last regular season loss last year. Pretty incredible run that they're kind of on right now. And it's not like oh, everyone's been hurt, that they're the ones who have the injuries, as well too, and they've been able to just recover and score at least one more point than the other team, no matter how no matter how you do it, whatever phase it needs to be. And just like my Niners, man, like, speaking of having to win all three phases, like, we have a muff punt. It seems like we have one of those almost every game, definitely in every Super Bowl. It seems like it happens. Special teams just kick our butt, man. We missed 3 field goals. Luckily, Moody was able to get it in, or else we almost, lost to the Bucs there as well too.
I didn't miss 3 in a row.
Yeah, I think he alternated. Yeah, he kind of made one, missed one, and then I think he missed like 2 in a row, and then finally made the game winner from the same hash at 44 yards, the one he had missed, not too much prior to that. So happy that was able to happen. But yeah, man, as far as fantasy goes, man, we're going to get into a little bit of injury news. Thank God there wasn't really too many crazy injuries this week, which almost makes for not as great of a, waiver wire show. So we'll kind of try to dig deep with you guys with some bye weeks and things coming up, and just potential players that, can help you get through these next 4 weeks. Hoping that by the time you get to your playoff run, your roster is back strong and full. So we'll get into those top waiver adds here for week 11. Again, we're going to focus on guys that are rostered 65% or less. There's definitely some guys here that are like 15% and under. I have a good amount of those because there's really nobody else left. Like, we're 10 weeks in, like, everyone's basically that even could potentially be relevant pretty much is at this point. Still a couple handcuff guys when we get to running backs that we'll get to here. But Frank, why don't you tell the folks what we got going on here at Get Right Fantasy throughout the week, and where they can catch us, and of course who they can like and subscribe to.
Yeah, so this week, we're obviously doing the Monday night overreaction here, engine news and recaps, and the waiver wire ads. And Wednesday shows, we do trade shows, buy, sell, trade type things, and waiver management type talk shows. Active and active, so it starts on Sunday morning. Actually, I threw myself off here with what I'm reading here.
I'm like, we do have a list. You can just read it.
I'm literally reading it right.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't even have to use your memory. You can just just pause it, guys. You can see
Tuesday is Tycoon here, literally coming in on Tuesdays. We got Phil and the Extra Point podcast, Dynasty Trades, players outlooks on Wednesdays, and prop bets, daily fantasy on Thursdays. And then you come here on 2 shows on Friday for basically the day, the lineups of the weekend to see who's sitting, starting, things like that. And then Sunday morning we also have Mike holding it down by himself, doing daily fantasy and last minute sit starts and things like that. We got Kendall with the Fantasy Football Tavern and the Sweet Life podcast with Cody McGoats, now live on Saturdays. So they're doing live shows and drop videos on the channel weekly. So yeah, that's basically all we got going on. So give us a drop, like and subscribe, check us out. We got a lot of content coming at you here. So yeah, check it out.
7 days a week.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sit, like, and subscribe. Turn those notifications on. You don't need to worry about the whole list that Frank was going through there. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, of course, drop them in the chat. We will have a live Q&A segment. Just real quick here, though, Denzel Barrett, welcome to Get Right Fantasy, man. We'll answer this here really quick for you. If you need to start one here this week, usually we do start sit on Fridays. We're still kind of recapping what's going on. What just like literally week just ended like an hour ago. And my man here is already looking towards week 11. Who do we need to start at quarterback? So I appreciate that. I like it, but I had to do all that filibustering while I was pulling up the schedule here for next week. So it looks like the Broncos with Bo Nix, who we'll talk about here a little later when we get into QB waiver wire ads, because my man here just went up against Kansas City and put up 24 points and a 6-point per passing touchdown. Against then he gets Falcons coming into Denver next week. I want to keep my eye on what the weather's going to be like in Denver over there. Would prefer it much better if they were playing in Atlanta in that dome, but I do like that matchup there. We have Geno Smith coming back off bye, playing against my Niners, so that's probably going to be a negative there. You see the hat, so I can't really recommend you start someone against us, although it probably could be a shootout. We're going to put up points. It just, just depends on what's going to happen there. And then you got Sam Darnold kind of coming off a little bit of a dud here. They get the Tennessee Titans. They're on the road against the Titans, so again, we'll see what the weather's like over there in Tennessee this time of the year. So right now, just off the cusp, I might have Bo Nix actually rated the highest out of these three. It's going to be hard to get away from Sam Darnold, just obviously what he's capable of. But with Bo Nix and his rushing floor and starting to get some things going that'll shake up in the backfield, might be a Bo Nix week. But Denzel, make sure you check us out on Friday when I dial in my rankings and do all the research, man. And then we'll see where I'm at. Do you have one right now? It's kind of giving you some time to maybe put your thoughts together as well. Big G kind of agrees with me. He likes Bo versus Atlanta.
I think that's a good, decent pick. I think Sam Darnold might have a comeback game. He had an off game this last week, and he's certainly been bouncing back pretty good this season. So I mean, 12-7 there with Jacksonville, whatnot. So who are they playing next?
They're going against Tennessee in that defense.
Yeah, see, I don't mind that. It's
going to be a tough defense. Points allowed to quarterbacks right now. Tennessee Titans are 23rd, so they're pretty good. It's not a great matchup. Pretty good, only allowing 18.8. Is that 6 point? Let me see where they're at in 6 point. Titans. See, and this is why we don't try to answer questions right out of the get. So they're literally middle of the pack, 16th and 6 point, 18.6 to passing points allowed to quarterbacks, 18.6 and 6 point per passing touchdowns. So it's not too bad.
I
you have the Falcons at 7, so I like the Nix up there, allowing 21.4. So so check it out. Again,
I just like the receivers that Darnold has over what they have over in Denver. You know what I mean? Like, you got
you'll take JJ Addison and TJ Hawkinson over Sutton and whoever else they got, and
exactly.
Vele and whoever else they got over there. You sure?
That's exactly my point. Okay. Why I would take him over. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly the receiving core alone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Have just better opportunity that way.
There we go. Good stuff. All right. We appreciate it, Denzel. Again, make sure you check us out on Friday when we do start sit. We'll definitely come in. We'll be a little more prepared to answer that for you and see if we've changed our minds once we start digging into week 11. Anybody else? Joe, I see you here. CXL, I see you here, man. So we'll get to your guys' questions here. We're going to try to get this show started. We're 13 minutes in. Haven't even done really anything yet. We hope Denzel answers questions. So hopefully that was worth a like and subscribe. So that'll, it just kind of warms us up, gets us going here. So let's do it, man. Absolutely. So let me throw the stuff on here so that you guys know where to find us and how to find us on there. There goes the little banner. So let's get into it, man. So again, we're going to just talk some quick news and injury updates. Here, I think I have a banner for that somewhere. Frank, you want to find that while I tell the people about what we got going on this week? As far as week 11 buys, we have the Arizona Cardinals on a bye. We have Carolina Panthers on a bye. We have New York Giants on a bye, and we have the Tampa Bay Bucks on a bye. Thank goodness everything's still pointing towards Mike Evans potentially coming back here. I see you didn't grab the banner yet. So
I got the banner. You want me to do that?
There it is. All right. So there we go.
I was ready. I was just waiting for you to finish that part up.
Oh, it's kind of part of it. I was trying to get it in there, but it's all right. I've been off since Friday, guys. Don't worry about me. So yeah, man. So again, as far as this week, we do have also Thursday Night Football this week is going to be Commanders at Eagles. So we'll see what happens with guys like Brian Robinson, Devonta Smith, still dealing with some kind of hamstring injuries and things like that. So we'll kind of keep our eyes and ears on that throughout the week. But as far as the big news topic here, basically, I think it's your guy, Dak Prescott, dealing with that hamstring injury. Speaking of hamstrings, completely pulled it off the bone. Apparently, he's had several different, people take a look at it. Everyone's kind of pretty much suggesting the same thing, that he's going to have surgery, which should all but basically end his season. You guys are kind of out of it at this point anyway. Not playing great. So he's expected to kind of go on.
Been going well.
Yeah, going on IR. Mike McCarthy came out today, said that they're going to go ahead and move forward with Cooper Rush. We did have a little Trey Lance sighting this weekend as well. We'll see how short of leash maybe Rush has there. Maybe in a lost season, they just get Trey Lance some work and see, what potentially happens. Wouldn't be great for CeeDee Lamb if Trey Lance comes in, although it wasn't too great here with Cooper Rush. But again, it was just one game. And then, of course, he said that they're going to, of course, add a third quarterback because you want to have that emergency quarterback. But what do you think about the comments from Micah Parsons about McCarthy saying, like just basically ragging on him, saying, he doesn't know what he's like talking about, or, how he compares to the other, coaches in the league, or whatever it was he was saying over there. I didn't catch too much of it. I just kind of heard it in the wind. But maybe you can shed some more light on that.
Actually, I didn't even hear too much of it either, man. Honestly, I do know that at this point it's been like kind of shit or get off the pot, for him. I mean, how many seasons do you have to have with subpar performances, with pretty decent talent? It's not like we've had bad talents. We had, the coaching staff get taken away last year because we had a very good defense that season before, and look at us now. Like, you know what I mean? I know that there's been some injuries and stuff like that, but how is it other teams are able to get next man up performance? You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said about that. Either don't have the depth for it, or we're just not coaching it in there. You know what I mean? And it's got to be coaching. It has to be. Like, at some point, I mean, I just wish they get rid of him and bring Belichick in or somebody. Honestly.
Ooh, Belly. Okay. Nice. Okay.
I mentioned that to somebody. They're like, "There's no way Jerry will bring in Belichick." I said, "If he wants a Super Bowl, he will."
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. So I mean, just obviously a lot of drama going over there. So we'll see what happens. So in other news, I thought I'd give you just a little moment there to shed some light on your Cowboys. Brian Daboll says if Daniel Jones doesn't say if Daniel Jones is going to remain the team starting quarterback after playing over in Germany. Wasn't a great game. Says they'll kind of spend the next few days evaluating what's going to happen over there. Obviously, there's the whole issue with his, guaranteed for his contract as far as the injury clause, kind of what happened like to Derek Carr and Russell Wilson right before they were moved. So it looks like it's lining up to be that same way for him. So we could get the Drew Lock show here pretty soon. I don't know if that's going to be any better or not for Neighbors or anyone else on this offense. But really the only bright spot fantasy-wise on this team is Tyrone Tracy. So hopefully you're able to grab him. He's looking like a potential league winner here this year. As far as other injury news, we have Aaron Jones dealing with that rib injury. He was carted off to the locker room, but came back. Kind of said once he got the ball in his hand, that adrenaline kicked in. He was ready to go. But we'll see what happens. He's going to be limited early in practice this week. But Kevin O'Connell said he feels good about having him for Sunday against Tennessee. We had the Panthers head coach Dave Canales come out and say that running back Chuba Hubbard, who left the game for a little bit but came back, he's good to go. But we did see, maybe you didn't see, but running back Miles Sanders, he went down, has a foot injury, and is going to be seeing a specialist there. So that almost paves the way for Jonathan Brooks to come back here this week. So we'll be looking forward to his.
Is he able to now still?
Yeah, he was already been activated. He was just inactive for this game, but they have promoted him to the 53-man active roster.
But I thought there was like a certain deadline that they had to do that.
No,
or
whatever. That's why I just said,
they're there.
Yeah, that's what I just said. So the 21-day window closed, and they did activate him to the roster, so he's good, but he can be a healthy scratch, which, technically I guess he was, but he's not, sitting for the rest of the year. So, like I said, everything's lining up now, especially with the injury to Sanders. There was no reason to really rush him back ahead of time. They had Chuba, they just signed him. They had Sanders still, but now with no Sanders, most likely they'll start to work Brooks in. We had the Bengals agree to a deal with Giants running back Gary Brightwell. Or former Giants running back Gary Brightwell. He's going to start on the practice squad. We saw them just trade for Khalil Herbert, who came in on his first touch, fumbled the ball, didn't see the field again. So, most likely, they wanted to get somebody else, and they're not feeling too comfortable about his debut. So he kind of botched that. Feel bad for Herbert. He's probably droppable, but we'll see what happens if they give him another chance or not. But great news for us Chase Brown owners that Herbert did that. So, we saw Chase go on to another 20-point game. We have a Hardball coming out saying Keaton Mitchell His role offensively could expand. He says, I do see a little bit of a three-headed monster there at running back. So isn't that just music to fantasy owners' ears? I don't think Derrick Henry owners need to really, panic or worry. I think Keaton Mitchell's I think Keaton Mitchell's just basically a better Justice Hill. He outplayed Justice Hill last year. Justice Hill was on this team, and he was basically taking this team over. And had he stayed healthy, I doubt they even go and get King Henry. Unfortunately, that ACL tear actually, Frank, could have cost your Cowboys Derrick Henry. Even more so, because Baltimore probably wouldn't even been in the running if it wasn't for that Keaton Mitchell late ACL injury, knowing he wasn't going to come back until around this time. So unfortunate there, but we'll see what happens. Again, remember, he was pretty explosive, but again, year removed coming off that ACL, usually like to wait a year. Jags running back Tank Bigsby on his first carry of the game got hurt. Left the game, came back, only had one more carry, and basically that was it. Ended his day with only 2 carries for 4 yards. So something to monitor through practice this week. Mike McDonald comes out and says DK Metcalf, Seahawks wide receiver, is expected to practice on Wednesday. He remains optimistic that he'll be able to go this weekend. On the other side of that spectrum, you have Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman dealing with that wrist injury. Was ruled out late last week and already ruled out for week 11 this week, so we'll be without him again. We'll get into who maybe to look for in that wide receiver room. Maybe Matt Collins, possibly, who I had to start in a couple places because of that injury news. And it turned out okay. Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins, he'll continue to be day-to-day. We'll see if he comes back and practices on Wednesday. The Saints are not ruling out Chris Olave, who's dealing with that concussion and was placed on IR. They're not ruling him out for the year. They're just going to take the 4 weeks on IR for now, maybe like a Tua type situation, and see how he comes back. Maybe wears the guardian cap when he comes back, so we'll see how that goes. The Chiefs say that wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, who's been dealing with the hamstring injury, might be out there to practice this week, so something to watch on Wednesday if he returns. But Isaiah Pacheco is still a ways away, so just kind of keep that in mind as well too. Giants wide receiver.
He was a little bit closer.
They said like towards maybe the end of November, so he's still a couple weeks away. Like it's not going to be this week. Is kind of what that means. Whereas Juju's potentially could be back this week. He's already missed a few.
Yeah, it's very close to making a return to practice according to head coach anyway.
Exactly.
Yes, practice is one thing. Huh?
Yep. So Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors was struggling through a hamstring injury. He was seen limping throughout the game. He actually left as well, was evaluated for a concussion, but kept on playing. He was cleared and was able to return and finish the game. So just keep an eye out on him throughout the week. But more importantly, it's going to be that potential QB change to see how that could potentially affect Neighbors. So far he looks potentially QB proof, but even sometimes Daniel still can't even get him the ball. We have 49ers tight end. Yeah, it's tough. 49ers tight end George Kittle has been dealing with some hamstring irritation. He'll be monitored throughout the week. So that could be big news there. Dan Campbell said he's hopeful for Sam Laporta, who was dealing with the shoulder and AC joint, similar to like CeeDee Lamb this week. He's considered day-to-day right now. He did not return. And then we had Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid go down, left the game, came down hard on that knee, came back with the brace, but still couldn't run or cut right, so he couldn't finish the game. So that's something to monitor as well. And of course, we'll probably talk about Dawson Knox when we get to tight ends there too. So that wraps up our injury news and notes. Frank, do you want to tell the folks about our boys over at Underdog Fantasy who brought us?
I mean, these guys right here. Yeah. So Underdog Fantasy is the best place to place, the easiest place to play some fantasy sports, man. They got the best ball tournaments all during the off season, which we get to live stream here on the show. So, best ball leagues are often you just go and draft it. No season long commitment, no waivers, no trades, no weekly lineup setting. Set it, forget it. I don't know how many did you draft this year, Anthony? Anthony was trying to reach 100 this year. So you can draft
64 this year. How was that 69 last year?
And he's in the money this year. He's getting there. He's doing a pretty good job of it.
Doing all right.
I had too much Mahomes stuff. So that hurt. You can draft up to hundreds of teams. You don't have to replace any managed teams. So, again, it's just a set it, forget it. You just do a draft. Keep checking it throughout the year if you like. or just come back at the end of the year, see if you won or lost. Currently, right now, they do the pick'em contest though, which is simply a pick a higher or lower on player stats like rushing, receiving, yards, touchdowns, things like that, and you get to stack them up, and you know, basically multiply your winnings on what you're putting on there. So you go sign up now. You use the promo code Get Right. You receive up to 50% deposit match, up to $1,000 in bonus cash, and you'll also get a special this week. Is going to be Jalen Hurts, where you pick an entry a plus or minus a half of total yard until Thursday. So that's basically a free pick for you over there at Underdog. So yeah, go check it out. Again, use promo code Get Right. Download the Underdog app right now, and it's super easy to play. It's a lot of fun, and you make some good money.
Let's do it. Well done. Well done. So yeah, let's get to it, man. We're going to talk waiver wire ads here this week. Again, if you guys have questions, comments in the chats, we see them, we are starring them, and we will get to your questions. So hang in there with us. Let us just get through our waiver ads, and then we'll take some Q&A before we end the show. Frank, you want to talk about your waiver wire ads here, your top, what do we do? Just your top ads for this week?
Yeah.
At the QB
I'll
position?
give you a couple, or should I
We can
mention all
alternate
three?
or however it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, cool. Well, I'll just do one. And I know that you had were mentioning Bo Nix, but I'll go with Russell Wilson here. I think I even mentioned him last week, but or the week before, because when he first came back, he's got like 3 wins now. Over there with the Steelers, completed 14 to 28 passes, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception against over the win over the Commanders this weekend. He's only 22% owned on Yahoo, 40% on ESPN, so it's widely available. And he's Russell Wilson is cooking, man. He's doing some good things over there in Pittsburgh. And with these bye weeks and so on and so forth that's coming up in these next 2 weeks, definitely a guy to go pick up and put him in your lineup as you need for the bye weeks as well.
For sure.
He could almost be a spot starter if he had guys like Dak go down or something like that. Somebody you could go pick up and kind of ride with the rest of the way.
Readily available, only 29% on Sleeper, so nice pick there. He was on my list as well, but I will go with another one. Like you said, I'll just go with Bo Nix, 44% owned on Sleeper. Do you have the Yahoo and ESPN rostership on that?
Bo Nix is 33% Yahoo, 51% ESPN.
There you go. And as I mentioned, he played very well against Kansas City, came out and put up 24 or 20.1 points, still a 20-point game against Kansas City, 22 completions on 30 attempts for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Did have -5 yards on 3 carries, which usually isn't like him. Usually he can get to that like 30 or even more, up to 75 yards he's had this year. He did have a fumble, but didn't lose it. Was sacked a couple times. But for the most part, looks like he played pretty well. I mean, we're talking in his last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starts. He only has 2 of the last 6 starts have been under 17 fantasy points, and the other ones have been between 20 and 35. So, including 24, 27, and then this 20-pointer. He gets a pretty nice schedule coming up, gets home against Atlanta like we talked about earlier, then gets at Vegas, home against Cleveland, has the week 14 bye. But his playoff schedule is pretty interesting. It'd be tough to kind of roll with Bo Nix as your playoff guy, but someone to kind of keep your eye on just in case something were to happen to maybe your starting quarterback. He gets home against Indy, and then at Chargers in a dome, and at Cincy on the turf there. It is outdoor, but usually not too bad of weather in Cincy week 17, but we'll see. So again, just someone to kind of keep your eye on. Usually has that rushing floor, but has been kind of doing it through the air. Last 3 games over 200 yards, 284, 223, and 215 last week. So, and that's actually 5 out of the last 6 he's thrown for over 200 yards. So Bo Nix, man, never thought I'd say it, but he's been outplaying freaking Caleb Williams, man. I mean, come on.
That's something to say, man. Something to say. These guys are going off.
So I got Caleb Williams in several places. I might, after saying all that, I might have to go swap him out for Bo Nix right now, man, because that fool's just killing me over there.
Right? It's like, wait a minute, what do we got? What do we got, right? So
Exactly. Who else
another
you
guy
got at quarterback?
that we got going on is Drake May. I think we also mentioned him last week. Completed 15 to 25 passes, 184 yards, and a touchdown with one interception. 19-3 win over the Bears on Sunday. He ran 4 times for 24 yards. Currently 13% on Yahoo, 12% on ESPN. And I think, would you rank him this way, like the way we're reading him? Russell Wilson, Bo Nix, then Drake May?
Honestly probably would have Bo Nix
Bo
first and
Nix
then
over
Russell
Wilson?
Wilson. But Drake May is an interesting piece, like you said, because of kind of his rushing floor there. He gets home against the Rams, at Miami, home against Indy. Week 4, he's part of that Week 14 by NATO. Playoff schedules at Arizona, at Buffalo, which that could be that like ice storm game. where I remember like what's his name, Mac Jones didn't even like make an attempt or whatever it was that one game. They literally just ran the entire time. And then home against the Chargers, which again isn't great. So I don't really like the playoff schedule here. So that's what kind of, deters me a little bit. But again, if you just need kind of someone for next week, New England against the Rams next week, they could be trailing that game. And, Drake May might have to throw him back into it or possibly run him back into it. So,
Right.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So good stuff there. The other guys I have, I don't want to go into too much detail of, but just kind of names. You're looking at guys like Matt Stafford, only 58% owned, Geno Smith coming off the bye, 53% owned. And then even Joe Flacco way down at 18% owned. Maybe in those super flex leagues, he could potentially be available there. Hasn't really played great, but they came out and said he will be the starter. They're not looking to go back to Anthony Richardson now. They're probably going to ride out the rest of the season here with Flacco unless anything were to happen to him. It'll probably be Flacco for the rest of the year. So anybody else you have on that?
They called him out like that. Didn't they say something like that? Hold on one second. Yeah, I thought they called him the starter for the rest of the season. I got one more guy here. Will Levis completed 18 to 23 passes there, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns while rushing for 41 yards. Sunday, 27-17 loss to the Chargers. But, I mean, hey, he's putting up some decent fantasy numbers. 7% Yahoo, 3% ESPN. Again, with these buy nados, maybe somebody you could look at and give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm personally not touching him, but it was nice to actually see him come out and be somewhat competent. It was his best fantasy game of the year. Again, no D-Hop there now. Ridley had a decent game. And like you said, 18 for 23, two touchdowns, no interceptions, which was good to see. And yeah, you like to see that 5 for 41.
I unfortunately am stuck in a 2 QB league, and there's nobody out there. I had to pick up Cooper Rush, and I'd be happy to take Will Levis.
Yeah, in that kind of situation.
Like, what I'm saying? I'm in a bad spot. There's got to be some people out there, that are just like me. They're like in a bad spot where there's nobody else available, man.
For sure, yeah. And he is just coming off, that long absence, had the bye week, came back, played against Indy, but then hadn't played the last 3 weeks. So finally comes back. He gets the Chargers. He gets the Minnesota Vikings at home, and then at Houston, at Washington, home against Jacksonville, which again, for that Week 14 bye, Will Levis could be a potential start there against that Jags defense there. So that could be someone to keep your eye on if you're looking to kind of get ahead of things for that Week 14. And then the playoff schedule, he gets home against Cincinnati, at Indy, and then at Jacksonville again. Jacksonville usually is just rain, if anything, maybe windy. Shouldn't be snowing there. They're far enough, obviously south there in Florida. So we'll see how that goes. So again, in a pinch, Will Levis, I don't want to have to put my championship, in his hands, but if you need to, just someone to kind of keep your eyes and ears on.
If you're in a bad spot like I am, you got to put a body in there, man. Somebody who's got a heartbeat that's playing football right now.
For sure.
You're literally at that point where you just got to put somebody in there.
Exactly. All right. So let's see. And then Big G Gomez was saying Wilson has a great remaining schedule versus Bo to
Matt Stafford
or Sam Darnold. So yeah, not bad. All right. So let's get into running backs, man. We actually have a few maybe to talk about here this week. So let's talk waiver
running
back
back waiver wire.
running back waiver ads for week 11. Man, it's been 11 weeks of this. You'd think I'd have it right, but we're grinding here, man. We got our sleeves rolled all the way up to get this done for you. So Frank, who do you have on your running back list? If you need a running back for week 11 or to stash, so to speak, to make a move on the waivers this week, who are you looking at?
I think everybody's gonna have Audric Estime here as the
He's the
number
guy
one
on the
pick.
thumbnail.
Yeah, shoes, man. Everybody's got to go for this guy. Led the team with 14 carries for 53 yards, a 3 point yard carry average, a long run of 10. It's only 3% Yahoo, 1% ESPN. Definitely does look like the lead running back over there in Denver, but it's just rough, man, with all the guys that they have over there and everything that's going on. You know, it's just, kind of crazy to, even, I don't know, to me, I'd like to see more of it before I just go down that rabbit hole and say, yeah, this is the guy. But I mean, at this point, if you need a warm body, like I mentioned, and you need a running back and there's not been much out there, got to go get him. Javante Williams had 17 snaps for 29% snap share. Michael Burton 10 snaps, Jaleel McLaughlin 7 snaps. So they're definitely doing a running back by committee over there in Denver. But this guy did get the majority of the shares, 45% of the snap share. So you got to go with the hot hand and the guy who's getting all the reps. And also being a rookie, let's see how he does.
Yeah, and like we already talked about with Bo Nix, has a decent schedule coming up. Again, home against
Right there,
Atlanta,
partnered
at
up with
Las
it, yeah.
Vegas, home against Cleveland. Then he's part of the Week 14 bye. But again, that playoff schedule is Indy at Chargers, which is a little tough, and then at Cincy, who's kind of been a sieve over there. But potential shootout there. So yeah, like you said, if you're in a tough situation, take a look at it. I still would think Jaleel McLaughlin could be the passing back there, but he didn't record a target this last game either. Like you said, only played 7 snaps, 12% of the total snaps, where he'd been, easily getting between 30 and at least 25 to 30 percent of the snaps. So and getting about 2 to 3 targets a game. So or at least one, but yeah, to not be targeted, it was only his 3rd time all year. And that was Jaleel McLaughlin I was talking about. And then,
we had him as a pickup last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, right? And
he was on mine last week too, so we were saying he could be coming. So last week he was at 5% ownership. This week at 7%. So not too many people listen to us, but maybe now we'll see that go up, by next week. So he'll probably be here for a couple weeks, especially after that Raider game. We should probably see his percentage get up a little higher if he does end up taking over that backfield. The other backfield I want to talk about here is going to be, or the running back I want to talk about here is going to be Jaylen Warren. He's 54% owned on Sleeper right now. We saw Najee Harris get a little banged up in the game. Warren just seems to be getting more and more healthy. He came into the season, a little banged up. Kind of took him a while to, kind of get going and worked into this offense. We liked the 51% snap share against the Jets a few weeks ago. He went down to 39% against the Giants. Had the bye week, but then coming out of the bye here against Washington was up to 45% of the snaps, 14 carries for 66 yards, had 2 catches for 29 yards as well. Unfortunately, did have a fumble lost on the goal line, which kind of sucks. Maybe they are a little hesitant to, potentially give him the workhorse role. We did see Najee, still get 21 carries in this game, but only for 53 yards for a 2.52 yard average. He did play 47% of the snaps. He did score the touchdown, but could be Warren's backfield. I mean, we've been saying it almost, it seems like, for like the last 2 years total, that Warren's going to take over here any moment, but it is Arthur Smith, so who knows? Maybe there is a chance it could actually happen. So we'll see. We'll see. Just something to kind of keep your eye on. But again, if Najee were to miss any time, Warren should be a plug and play, like top 15 to 20 RB any given week. They get Baltimore, which is tough to run on. They get Cleveland, Cincy, Cleveland again, then Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City. So it is a little tough, kind of matchup. But again, if you need a body, just someone to keep your eye on. He's out there. Who else you got?
Exactly. Trey Benson here. Arizona rushed the ball 10 times, 62 yards, got 2 passes for 25 yards. He's over there, time sharing there again. Most of these guys are. It's the nature of the beast, especially for some of these guys that are available at this point. It's not like you're going to get a workhorse starter at some point here. Even the backup guys will still be time sharing with everybody else here. But he's 18% Yahoo, 60% ESPN. And somebody, I think, to look at, Arizona's playing pretty well right now, and they're putting up some decent points. So some you know, teams I like to have a piece of. But he does have this week 11 bye here coming up. But after that, moves on into smooth sailing: Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle, New England, Carolina, and then the Rams week 17. So I don't mind that schedule coming up. So yeah, somebody to be looking at. I mean, it's kind of a more of a handcuff piece as well, really.
For sure. Good stuff there. Next person I have running back here on my list is going to be Cam Akers. Really? Cam Akers?
There we go.
Cam Akers, 20% owned here on Sleeper. You have the Yahoo and you said you had him on your list. You have the Yahoo and
14% Yahoo, 16% ESPN.
Perfect. So we saw, with Aaron Jones going down, he did only play 52% of the snaps while he was, getting that all, done. Still finished with 17 for 88, 2 catches for 13 yards. Aaron Jones did. But Cam Akers came in. He played 31% of the snaps, an uptick from 22% of the snaps. Last week, did get 13 carries for 38 yards, not a great average, 2.91. Did get 1 catch for 9 yards as well, too. But he has clearly taken over for Ty Chandler, who I really liked. And we saw him, last year actually beat out and look better than Akers last year when it was kind of just the two of them. So it's weird that it's kind of flipped, back. But we did see Ty Chandler only play 14%. He only got 4 carries for 18 yards, still 4.5 yards per carry. But again, he clearly got the usage once Aaron Jones went down. We talked about it during the news and notes. Looks like, again, he's dealing with that rib injury, Aaron Jones is. Looks like he'll probably be, good to go. Wasn't a fracture or anything. He would have came back he wouldn't have come back after the x-rays. But if he is all limited or they do want to sit him, then, you could maybe throw Cam Akers in your lineup. So someone to keep your eye on. Any other running backs you got?
Gus Edwards here, coming back. He was activated off injury reserve from his ankle injury in week 10. Rushed the ball 10 times, 55 yards. Chargers are putting up some good, decent numbers as of late as well. They're getting kind of hot. 17% on Yahoo, 21% on ESPN. Again, kind of more of a handcuff
19
piece.
on Sleeper.
And we've been calling him because Dobbins waiting for him to be injured. He took the job. Dobbins took the job away from him, and we were still waiting to see Kamani Vidal come in there, but really Dobbins is holding it down. So I think Edwards would be a nice handcuff piece, or again, just some hot body you have to put in there in the flex spot start situation. So yeah, something going on there.
Yeah,
shout out to Drunk Squidward, who won by 0.4 to a last pass saved me.
Let's go. Opposite of classic Mike. Well done.
Right.
So yeah, just on that note, J.K. Dobbins, he's going to be the pass catcher, and if they're going to take some of that between the tackles work away from him, give that back to Gus Edwards, kind of between the 20s, so to speak, then I don't mind that. It should keep J.K. Dobbins fresh after he did have to carry the full workload while Gus was gone. Again, we know this is going to be a run first type offense, although they have kind of led the league in passing, I think, in the previous 4 weeks before this game here. But again, with the weather churning, with the games that they have, coming up, they do get, again, Cincy at home, Baltimore at home, but then at Atlanta, at Kansas City, then home against Tampa Bay, home against Denver, at New England. So definitely something to keep an eye on, but he most likely will not be catching passes. So definitely better in your half or standard type leagues versus your full PPR. But I just think this is good news, for Dobbins, to try to keep him healthy and keep him fantasy relevant, although he didn't have a great game this game, but it was Tennessee and they do have a tough run defense. So not really going to hold that too much against them. I'm firing him right back up again next week against Cincinnati. So, well said there on Gus Edwards. I had him on my list too. I have a couple others here. I don't need to go into a ton of detail. But Keaton Mitchell that we talked about earlier, only 15% owned. I think he's worth kind of a stash just to see what happens. Again, let alone should anything happen to Henry. I don't expect it to. The guy's built like a tank. But should it happen, it could be a split there between Mitchell and Hill. And then we have Tajay Spears finally came back after dealing with his, hamstring injury. He's 45% owned here on Sleeper. But with Tony Pollard dealing with that foot injury, he could be gone basically in any moment, kind of re-aggravate that and miss some time. And then Minnesota Spears gets home against Minnesota, at Houston, at Washington, Jacksonville, Cincy, and then we talked about it, Indy and Jacksonville for the end run. So again, should anything happen to Pollard, I think Tajay should be stashed all around. So take a look at him. Anybody else you have here on your mentions or honorable mentions? Are you ready to move on to wide receiver?
Yeah, wide receivers it is.
Let's do it. Make sure you guys are dropping your questions in the chat. We will get to them as soon as we get done here with wide receivers and tight
That was
ends.
actually a pretty decent week compared to last week's running backs. I mean, that was nothing.
Yeah, there was really nothing out there. A lot of these same guys that we said kind of just a stash, but yeah, there's nothing really viable. But that's always a good thing. That means there's not big time injuries happening, so I'll take it.
Right?
Means the guys in the lineups are doing good, and we didn't lose because they missed half a game, So let's do waiver wire ads here for week 11 for wide receiver position. Frank, who you got number 1 on your wide receiver list?
What do you got to call him number 1?
One of your top waiver wire ads. It is hard to say one.
I'm gonna go with Xavier Legette, man. Carolina Panthers, which is crazy, but still, Legette 3 or 4 for 40 yards, which is not much. But ever since the Panthers traded Deontay Johnson, Legette kind of took over the team's top wide receiver spot over there. So over the past 2 weeks, he's consistently gained at least 7 PPR points in his receptions and receiving yards. So he's found the end zone in 1 of 4 of his past 7 outings. So not too much in touchdowns, but obviously the Panthers are just a woeful offense. But he is a number 1 guy over on an offense, and somebody to be looking at just in case you need. Again, all these bye weeks and things that are going on. Only 36% on Yahoo, 48% on ESPN. But I did want to give an honorable mention to the other guy here that's coming up. Hopefully you don't take him next.
All right. Well, just be careful. I just want to say that Legette does have a week 11 bye, so he's on bye this week.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't have to put in a claim or bid on him or bid much if he is out there for you. 55% owned on Sleeper. But definitely the one in the in the offense there. Had been coming off back-to-back double-digit games. 13 points. Did drop down here to 7, but that was because he didn't score the touchdown. So had he scored the touchdown, he basically would have been right at that kind of 13 point mark.
Right?
Just didn't get the touchdown here against the Giants. So comes back. It's Kansas City, which should be tough, but then Tampa Bay, Philly, Dallas, who's in shambles right now, Arizona, and then at Tampa Bay to end the year. So not too bad of matchups there against wide receivers. So facing some defenses that do give up points, obviously, except for Kansas City. So good one there. He didn't make my list just because, he had the bye week here coming up. So, but good honorable mention. But I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston, man, who I had to actually spot start. I never thought I'd see the day, even though I was so big on him last year. But stayed away from him this year, had to see it. And he just continues to kind of score touchdowns. Got saved by the touchdown here this week. Helped me if he didn't score that touchdown, I literally would have lost my matchup there and stayed in second or maybe even fell to third or fourth. But with that win, actually got me to first place in our Wrong Stoppers lead. So Smitty, take that. You had first place for 1 week, and then I came back and got my throw in my guy. So I didn't hear you chirping all this weekend at all. It's pretty quiet. He only scored. He got beat like 130 to 70 this week. He was all quiet. So I was going to say something, but
then, right?
Yeah, I like the quiet. The quiet was good.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the real stuff here. I'm going to go with my guy. I don't even want to say my guy because not really my guy. He was just on the thumbnail. We had to say it because he was the wide receiver 3 overall, I think, this week, or even 2, if that's right, somewhere up there. Never thought I would say it. Marquez Valdez Scantling. scoring 25.9
MVS?
points, 3
Ooh.
catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns in New Orleans with no Olave, no Rashid Shaheed, no anybody there. You know, Tipton didn't do anything. Nobody else did anything over there. So when we all know Valdez-Scantling can get open, we know he's fast. He just usually can't even catch a cold. Like,
Yeah.
I'm catching more colds than this will catches at this point. But I mean, he caught a couple balls, and when it happens, that's usually what happens. So, you know, this offense does take those deep shots. Usually it's a Shaheed. Looks like Scantling filled in for this one here. I didn't really watch too much of this game, but of course I saw the touchdown highlights, and you know, what can I say? He held on to the ball. So, not someone I'm going to rush out and get on my team and throw in my lineup per se. I guess you could say I've been scarred way too many times, and I just keep seeing the ball just clank off his hands like, you know, frying pans, as they say. I just can't do it. Like, I'd rather lose with somebody else than play him and go like, what was I thinking? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't go down by playing.
He's on your do not touch
MVS.
list.
He is on my do not touch list. So for me personally, but of course the analyst in me has to say, hey, this guy finished number 2 overall, only 2% owned, so he's widely available. I mean, I have teams that are just decimated at wide receiver. Like I said, I was so desperate I had to put in Quentin Johnston. Like, that's how bad it was getting, because I had Rice go down, Metcalf's out, Olave's on IR, Mike Evans is out. That's literally my team, my first place team. Like, all my receivers are done for. Like, and it started with Rice like way back in week 2, and still somehow staying at the top. But that's because I draft deep at wide receiver, baby. Hero RB saved me this year, but not in the way I thought. But yeah, man. So MVS, probably spent way too much time on him, but MVS 2% owned on Sleeper. If you want to, buyer beware. I can't.
Be careful out there. Be careful.
If you're hurting, if you're hurting, go do it, man. Go get you some. He is the only guy there. Like, he's the only guy there, at least for the next 3 weeks before Olave comes back. So we'll see what he can do.
Okay, so I want to mention Ricky Sticky Pearsall there, man, coming back from the gun wound. Guys,
you took
4
him.
of
What's wrong with
6
him there?
targets, 73 yards, and a touchdown there for the Niners, for the Buccaneers. You know, 37% on Yahoo, 25% on ESPN. Jawan Jennings did get, I think, his touchdown called back on one of them, right? So he's, you know, the lead guy. They're both. He came back from injury, but Pearsall has been kind of like getting more attention week after week, considering that.
Yeah, he's moved into the Jennings role, and Jennings moved in the Ayuk role.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's
I got you.
Ayuk going down. Debo's still doing Debo things over there, being wide receiver, running back / type dude.
And Christian McCaffrey is back, baby.
McCaffrey's back. Yes, so it kind of opens up
Top 10 running
the
back,
passing
just
game for
literally
these
off the
guys.
couch. Anyway, sorry, I had to give that little shout out. My bad.
He's not happy with this guy, but let's hope he keeps it together. He keeps it together and stays on the field, right?
Just stay healthy, man.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you know, just somebody to look at there. You got the sleeper number for him?
For Pearsall, 56% on Sleeper, and Jennings is only at 68, so he just missed our 65% cutoff, but that's barely there. So there's still a good amount of leagues that Jennings could be available. I see him as like
and ESPN is 62 for Jawan Jennings.
Should be much higher.
Yeah, he should be, you know.
To me, he's like 80s. A weekly top 20. Like, how do you name like 19 or 20 wide receivers better than him right now in that offense with Purdy dealing like he's been dealing? You see that throw to Kittle in the corner of the end zone, man? Come on. Who makes that throw? Purdy.
A lot of other people do.
he's like, I'm not giving you that love.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm not falling for that. All right, I tried to get you, Frank.
If anything, he helped him out to catch that ball. Come on now.
It was a busted play. It was scramble drill. He threw in the back corner and got lucky.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I was like, come on. Hey, it was nice. There's a lot of guys.
I'll spin it a little bit. All right. Who else you got? I'll let you go again. Who else you got at wide receiver? You know me. I have a ton of wide receivers, so you go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Rashad Bateman, man. He's missed, but hey,
I forgot about him. He was on Monday, or he was on Thursday.
Exactly.
I forgot about him.
Everybody totally forgot because it's like Thursday game. It's like, you know, set it forget it type thing, because it's like a couple, you know, all this Sunday happens and then we kind of just forget that Thursday happened. But yeah, it's a 54-yard touchdown.
Pretty close dot.
He's 29% on Yahoo, 14% on ESPN. He's just kind of spotty though. like he'll have a good game, then a bad game, then a good game. It's kind of hard to know when he's going to have that good game. But I mean, as a flex spot or as a fill-in guy for these bye weeks, he's a decent option. He's got a bye week in week 14, so he's part of that by NATO then, right? He's got Pittsburgh, Chargers, and Philly next, and then after that, he'll go with the Giants, Pittsburgh, and Houston to finish off the year. So not bad options. And again, a good
He's one of
high-powered
the
offense
top
there.
offenses. Yeah, so it really doesn't matter the matchup. Like they're even
Yeah.
like against Kansas City, like it's going to be a shootout. So
Yeah, exactly. So
we saw it week 1. Yeah.
Lamar's.
Good
They
stuff.
said
I didn't even
put
have
some
him on my
did you
list,
see that?
man.
And I
Good
forgot.
stuff.
I forgot the quote they had about him because they were talking about. Oh, they were comparing. Um, who's the Houston quarterback?
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud with Lamar. I think that's or no. What's his name? Jaden Daniels. The Washington went to Lamar, and it was like. He's like,
They're
you're talking about
pump
a
the
multiple.
brakes.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they all like, calm down. He's
Pump the
talking about a multiple MVP quarterback.
Yeah, potential back-to-back
But-
MVP right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You should just like,
Just hold
like,
on.
that's Mr. Jackson. Calm down. You're like literally called him Mr. Jackson.
Yeah,
Instead of just
it was a
Lamar
coach
Jackson.
said that. I forgot who that was, but it was a coach. Like it was like
Yeah, it was a coach, and they're like, hold
Yeah.
on, you're talking crazy. Like, this guy crazy. Lamar's been doing year in, year out. Like, calm
Yeah,
down.
yeah, good
No,
stuff.
but it's
man.
nice though. I like Jaden Daniels. Good stuff. I mean, he's got a great start, but let's keep it realistic for a little bit here. He's got to prove it a couple years here. So
For sure.
good start, though. Good start for a rookie, man. You can't get it wrong.
For sure. So I'll go with Quentin Johnson, who I mentioned that I had to start here this week. He's only 59% owned on Sleeper. Won't go into too much, just he is that option there. But yeah, not feeling great about it. Again, last year I'd have been all for it and been like, see, this is what I was talking about. Sometimes I'm a year early with these things. And then, you draft him and he sits on your bench all year. And so he kind of turns into a mini, do not touch list type guy where you're like, all right, I got to see it first. I'm not going to waste the whole year again. But this is what I thought I was going to see last year. But again, sometimes just rookies, take time. Yeah, Quentin Johnston. And again, he's attached to Herbert. He's a lot of other, better situations than a lot of other wide receivers. So we'll see if he can continue to play well and command targets and do something with those targets. Speaking of which, Jerry Jeudy, 62% owned. He might be worth a look again if you're in a tough spot or have bye weeks coming up with him coming off the bye now. Just someone to maybe take a look at there. Obviously, it's him and Tillman and Njoku. With Winston, who was confirmed to still be the starter coming out of the bye week here this week. I didn't mention that in the news and notes, but that did come out today. So, yeah, I mean, Jerry Jeudy, again, not great, but these are just guys you could potentially stash, or if you're in a, in a pickle.
Are you sure this is not the Smitty we know, man? He's coming out here pretty those dots.
No, that's not Smitty.
He does it all the time.
That's
Yes, I know
not
it's
our-
not.
I mean,
I'm
it's
not calling
Smitty.
it that.
I mean, it is Smitty, but it's
which is
it's
funny,
not
right?
our
Which is
Smitty,
better.
but yeah, not our Smitty that we're talking about in our league. But yeah, we know he don't watch the show. He's always like, "Come talk to me. You guys don't know what you're talking about." So anyway, just keep him right below me.
Hey,
Right
I got two guys for you.
Go ahead,
Because
tell
of this Indianapolis Colts quarterback change, Flacco would definitely help Josh Downs, and it'll help this guy's Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell. Both of them getting better looks. They just, are better over here with Flacco under center. I did like Anthony Richardson. I mean,
Well, when Flacco plays well, he hasn't really played well in the last couple of games.
but he's still giving them a better opportunity that Anthony Richardson has. Although he had a fire, start last season, but couldn't keep it going this year, which is why they were pumping the brakes with Jaden Daniels. I was like, hey, he's got a good start. Let's see if he can keep going. Sometimes defenses figure out a guy. It's like the new shiny toy. Give him a season next year. You're not so new. You know what I mean? Like that happens right away. The NFL seems to shut down anything like that.
Well, Flacco's he's as old as me, so he's seen everything, man. He's seen it all.
Yeah,
can't throw anything new at Flacco. He's gonna throw things out. I mean, he minus the 6 points for the 3 interceptions, 272, 2 touchdowns isn't too bad. He would at least been at 20 points against Buffalo. Gets the Jets next, or just the Colts in general get the Jets next. Denver at New England. They're part of the Week 14 by NATO, but then they come back. They get at Denver, Tennessee, and then at Giants. week 17. So maybe not so much weeks 15 and 16. Tough defenses there. But again, maybe using those guys in week 17 if you're planning ahead. But definitely some games, you could play them leading up to that. So
Yeah.
good stuff. So yeah, the Indianapolis wide receivers, I have them at 17% for AD Mitchell on Sleeper, and Alec Pierce is 16% owned on Sleeper. Yeah, there.
So who do you got next?
Other numbers? Oh, okay. So one other guy who saved my butt in several places here this week with that Keon Coleman going down, and was really the only person that was kind of available in a lot of leagues that I play in. Matt Collins. He's only 3% owned here on Sleeper. Again, it's with Cooper and Coleman both out. Hollins came in, and I mean, he didn't light the world on fire, but for literally a 9:38 Pacific time, sub out, type guy. He comes in, catches 4 catches for 86 yards, doesn't find the end zone, but 4 for 86 is enough for 12.6 PPR points. And so I will take that for sure. My other options were like Parker Washington, who I think had a complete 0, Tipton, who I think had a 0 as well. But it was really between kind of those 3 guys, and I was happy that I went with Hollins in most of those situations. So kind of saved my butt. The last 2 weeks, 14. Well, I didn't play him last week, but he had 14 PPR points last week on 5 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. And then again this week, 4 catches on 4 targets for 86, but no touchdown. So yeah, gets Kansas City next, which might be a little tough. He's part of the week 12 by NATO. Comes back at San Francisco, at Rams, at Detroit. So both of those are nice in domes. Home against New England, which could be that ice bowl, and then home against the Jets. So who knows what happened in those 2 games, but I hope Coleman and Cooper are back by then. But for these next couple games, or maybe in a weird spot start next week against Kansas City, in a potential shootout there, we know the rivalry. We'll see what happens. Keon Clement's already ruled out, so he'll be widely available.
Right.
You got anybody else? Or you ready to move on?
Yeah, we got one more last guy,
Right
John Mechie, the rookie over there, Houston. Top 5 of 6 targets, 74 yards.
Sophomore now. Sophomore now.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
But he had the cancer and didn't really play.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I call him a rookie because
Shout
he
out
really
to
didn't have a season, man.
Exactly.
He really didn't have a season. So he's getting a start. Good, feel good story for the guy,
well,
right?
Actually, it's in his 3rd year now. Actually, yeah. It was his first year. Yeah, 2022 already. Yeah, we're getting old, man. So yeah, it was his first year when he played last year. Yeah, he played last year, 16 catches on 30 targets for only 158 yards, but is already at 9 catches for 110 yards this year. So
yeah, for 18.4 full PPR fantasy points this week over there in Houston, and obviously that had a lot of injuries in wide receiver situations. So. Somebody to keep looking out at over there. I mean, he got some opportunity coming up.
May have won that wide receiver 3 role once Collins gets back, and once Collins is there, man, a lot of that attention is going to go to him. Then you might have exactly, and then maybe Mechie and Tank Dell will be able to capitalize off of that. So yeah, definitely good call. Only 3% owned on Sleeper, so he's widely available as well. He was one of my options. I probably should have actually went with him over Matt Collins. He would have got me 6 more points, but I still won in those leagues, so I'm okay.
Yeah, either way, whatever works.
It worked out. Not bad.
All right, so I think we're good with those, and then let's go finish.
Yeah, but the guys like Marcus Robinson didn't have a great night tonight, 52%. Sterling Shepard's only 29% owned still. You have Mike Williams if you want to go down that route. Had a decent game, but I'm not touching Mike Williams still over with the Steelers 20%. But then Kayshon Boutte, man, take a look at him, like you said, with your guy Drake May over there doing things. He seems to be one of his favorite targets emerging over there, even more than Demario Douglas. So just to keep an eye out on Kayshon Boutte. Trouble kind of coming out, but might be kind of finding it was in the doghouse with Belichick, but kind of feeling him here now. So we'll see. So all right, let's get to tight ends, and then we'll wrap this thing up, get to some Q&A, and call it a night. Who you got for your tight end ads this week?
The first one I'm thinking of is John.
Hold on, let me reset it. Hold on, let me reset it for the timestamp. No worries. All right, we got tight end waiver wire ads for week 11. Frank, who do you got?
I got Jonnu Smith, man. Jonnu Smith is coming up. Last 2 weeks I've been watching him. Caught caught 5 of 6 targets, 46 yards here on the Dolphins. Lost to Buffalo, but in the last 2 weeks he's been getting quite a bit of work over there, and
What do
that
you do
offense
tonight?
is
Oh,
ends up
3 for 45, not too
three
bad.
for 4, 40, 45. About the same basically, which is 45 yards, 46 yards as last week. Just one extra target, whatnot.
I could get out of tight
And
end.
it's over there in Miami. He's due to get his touchdown here coming up. He had one in week 7 here. And just it's a good offense. Tua's back. Things are flown for them. Albeit a loss, but 25% on Yahoo, 26 on ESPN. I don't know if you got the sleeper number,
For John?
Jonathan Smith.
Yeah, let me grab it here real quick. I had to get out of the tight end premium league
Oh no, no worries.
because the numbers were a
It's
little
skewed,
different.
right?
Yeah, so
It's-
36% on sleeper, and yeah, it was 7 points tonight
there you go.
because
So,
it was like 12 something. I was like, how the hell did you get 12 points? I was like, oh, tight end
right.
premium.
Yeah, you got to look at him. Not in the time end preview, but I mean, even if you do, hey, it's worth a shot on the tight end preview one. What do you got?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Dawson Knox because of that Dalton Kincaid knee injury. Again, he came back, tried to play on it, left again. Put a brace on it, still couldn't play. So maybe they hold him a week. Over there, and if so, we already know Knox has rapport with Allen anyway.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
still, he still gets work now. He's still playing 50+% of the snaps all year, which is kind of what I felt like stunted some of Kincaid's potential growth here this year. And then of course with the injury he bumped up to 70% of the snaps this week. Still only caught 2 catches for 40 yards on 3 targets, but yeah, against Kansas City it's going to be all hands on deck, and if they don't have Coleman, and if they don't have Cooper, and they don't have Kincaid, it's going to be the Matt Collins and Dawson Knox show. So
yeah, for sure.
and James Cook, and maybe even Ray Davis might be an interesting little start there. Maybe put him on your running back waiver wire ad as well too.
Yeah,
Dawson
Knox has
Dawson
been
Knox,
a thorn
only
in the
4%.
side there. I'm telling you.
Yeah, 4% owned on sleeper, so he's out there if you need one.
Yeah. He's 1% on Yahoo, 1% on ESPN.
You better take your guy, or else I'm taking him next. Who do you got next?
No, you can have him. It's cool.
All right,
I was looking at Will Disley there. Chargers caught 5 of 6 targets, 30 yards there. Again, Chargers are heating up. And another guy that I was looking at there for him. Good opportunities over there.
Oh yeah, and Shakir. Forgot about Shakir. Shakir's the man.
Yeah. What do we got? 2% on Yahoo, 2% on ESPN. So definitely widely available there. Just somebody to take a look at. Again, the Chargers are getting heating up there. So somebody going against Cincinnati next, Baltimore, then Atlanta. So not too bad lineup there.
Good stuff. I'm gonna go with the guy Shamrock here just mentioned Pat Fairmuth. He's on my list here, 51% owned here on sleeper. And yeah, again, more so has to do with the good play from Russell Wilson. And yeah, just again, if you need a body at tight end right now, had 3 for 17 only this last week, but did find the end zone. Had the bye week 8, 2 for 19 as well too. But before that, had 2 for 51. 2 for 16, 3 for 22 and a touchdown. So again, it's not great. He's going to get you between 3 and 9, fantasy points, but that's usually good for at least tight end like 8 or 9. Like it's still it's still like a top 12 tight end every week. So if you need to throw somebody in there, if you're in a pinch, check out Pat Fairmuth. Gets Baltimore coming up, at Cleveland, at Cincy, at Cleveland again, Philly, Baltimore, and then Kansas City. So tough defenses. But I know Kansas City gives up the most points to the tight end position, so could be someone to look at.
Well, since you did leave him out there for me, we'll take Taysom Hill, man. He didn't go just 2 for 2 for 36 yards. Ends up rushing again as well for a 4 for 14. So a total of 50 yards on the ground. But the very first play, it was like an 80-yard pass to him for the touchdown, and it got
Called
called
back
back.
on holding.
Yeah, it was crazy. But he's that's what he does. He's a gamer, man. That's why I've always liked the guy. So he's widely available still. 54% on Yahoo, 35% on ESPN. I don't have the sleeper numbers, but he's one of the more rostered ones. He came back from an injury.
52 on sleeper.
Actually spot started him over
I'd see
Kelsey,
this week too.
and had he got that touchdown, it would have been the right call. They took him away, but
Kelsey's been balling. He was like my tight end too that ranked this week.
yeah, he did. He's been doing good. Actually,
I like it though. You're going on a feel. You had it,
yeah.
man.
Oh yeah.
The holding call. You should have had it.
The holding call, dude, I would have been good. You know what I mean? Like I've always been like, oh, this is the week. You know what I mean? This is the week to get him.
You felt it.
And it was,
You felt it.
It felt pretty good. So right off the bat too, and I was like, what? Don't take it back. But
yeah, we saw him increase from he was only 31% this time last week, is up to 52% now.
Yeah.
And then he's one Kamara injury away from being like a every like play like guy.
Every other play type of guy.
Yeah, he's worth a roster spot. Again, you can play him at any position, especially in your super flex leagues and stuff like that. Got to be willing to take the lows with the highs. So, but aren't we doing that at every position? So there it is. All right. So I'm pretty much, Zach Ertz, I got out there. Some other guys but it's just tight end, man. Just go throw someone in there and hope he scores a touchdown, really. So you ready to wrap this thing up, man? You want to get to some questions here?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it, man. So we're going to get to our live Q&A questions here. So we appreciate you guys hanging out, waiting for it. If you have questions, start dropping them in the chat now. We will start getting to as many as we can. We'll probably do it here for maybe the next 20 minutes or so. So we'll try to get through them as much as we can. We do like to give, pretty good analysis. We don't like to just run through your questions. So we'll probably ramble on a little bit, but we'll try to be more aware of it just so we can get to more questions. If you do leave us a super chat, though, we'll spend some extended time on your question as well. So you can always do that for us. Or if you just like what you're hearing, you can throw us a super chat as well too, and we'll make sure you get to the top of the list. But like I said, we will cut it off at about 11 o'clock our time, or 20 more minutes. What is that? 10:50 our time. So Frank gave you some time to scroll back up to the top. And before we do that, of course, our Q&A segment is brought to you by our boys over at trophysmack.com. So if you want to take your league to the next level and add something like a customized chain or a ring, we've customized one here and gave it away for our 1,000 subscriber, which was awesome. They also have, of course, your standard trophies that are fully customizable. And of course, our favorite, the belts, which I have 2 of them here. Definitely probably losing one this week or this year, but I'm in first place in the other one, trying to go back to back. So we'll see if I can keep it. So again, if you want to take your game to the next level in your league, thanks. You're trying. So make sure you guys go check out trophysmack.com. Use that promo code, get right on checkout, and it'll help support the show.
I feel like I'm in the right position, not in first, just right there in the striking zone.
That's what they all say.
I'm right where I like to be. Literally.
It's exactly what I said last week when I felt a second, but you see how happy I am to be back in first. It's just what you say when you're not in first.
You know what? Who wins first? Wins never win. The first never win, dude.
We'll see. I'll change that too.
It's historical.
No one had also won both belts before until last year either, and I did.
It happens.
So it can happen. All right. Anyway, let's get to some Q&A, man. We're taking up the people's time.
Let's do it. So we got Joe Kinsley here, man. We go right off the bat. Sorry to put you up, but let's get to it. Right, 6-4, tied first. My QB is Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, and Geno Smith are available. I have a dead roster spot with Rich. Who should I add and start? So I think we kind of went over these same guys, right? Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's a good thing. How do you have them ranked?
I think you were going. I'm going to stick with Sam Darnold just because of the receiving core. Then Russell.
Well,
Wilson.
He's saying his QB is Sam Darnold. So how do you have over Wilson and Geno though? He has a spot. Which one should he add in there?
I'd go with Russell.
And looking to start him. He says and start. So maybe he's looking to sit Darnold this week. I don't think I mind. Let me see. They are playing Baltimore in a potential shootout. And their pass funnel offense, you can't run on them. Yeah, I like that Russell Wilson spot start there. See what happens. I'm with you. We got a CXL34 says, would y'all trade CD and Henry for CMC and Taylor in full PPR?
Yeah,
almost to get off of CD, I would, but like I mean,
you're getting CMC.
Yeah, you're getting CMC, which is kind of like a wide receiver one and running back in one. And if his being worked into a game is like 17 touches and like 6 catches, and 16 full PPR points, like that's his floor. I mean, this is what we were talking about all the time. The only question is, will he hold up, right?
Yeah.
Or will it get re-aggravated? So
I'd shoot it, man. CD's gonna have. I mean, Dak's not coming back.
if you're going to get any kind of value out of CD now, that's the only reason why I'm saying go ahead and do it right now. I mean, otherwise, I'd like to get a receiver back unless you just hit on some other receivers, because everyone's kind of been hit on receiver. But yeah, I mean, I don't see why not at this point. At least you'd have 2 assets that if you need to trade like Taylor for a running back or for a receiver, you can.
Later. Yeah.
Exactly. So I would take that for sure. Take the 2 healthy guys.
Smash the accept button. Move on.
There we go. Joe Kinsley agrees.
Big G Gomez says, I've been streaming QBs all year, so I'm not sure. Start thinking of getting Wilson off of waivers over Tua or Matt Stafford. So again, a lot of Russell Wilson
this week,
actually going
against
over
Baltimore.
Tua or Matt Stafford. Who's Tua and Matt playing here? Matthew Stafford playing New England here.
I have the schedule right here. So Miami is playing the Raiders, which might not be a bad spot, actually. I don't think the Raiders have anybody really fast enough to deal with Tyreek and Waddle there. And then Stafford with the Rams, they are playing the Patriots at Patriots. So I still think I might go Russ. I think I'll go Russ to a Stafford is how I'd have that.
Russ is at home against Baltimore. So stick with it. Yeah.
Yeah. If the weather's good, I think I'm going to go there. Potential shootout. I mean, we saw, Lamar and Burrow go at it. So hopefully you can get some of that.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Let's get some of that going.
That's the ideal situation right there. So Jay Hang 20 here, coming at 3.7 PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 running back, 1 flex. I have a Stroud, Tyreek, AJ Brown, BTJ, Achan, Brees, Monty, and Pitts. Should I trade for Jaden Daniels and Mixon and give Brees and Tyreek, or do a different move, basically? So he's looking to trade Brees and Tyreek for Jaden Daniels and Mixon.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Mixon, you just have to worry about they do have a tough playoff schedule, but I don't mind getting off CJ Stroud for Jaden Daniels right now. So I kind of like that move there.
That move,
honestly, if you can, I would prefer to get off BTJ, but I doubt BTJ would be able to get the deal done. Tyreek.
Brees is coming up right now. Or is it just still like?
I mean, Tyreek's tough, but I mean, I don't know who your other wide receivers are to where if you were down Tyreek, you're basically down BTJ now too with this Trevor Lawrence injury. So you're really just kind of down to AJ Brown. So it really depend on who the rest of your team is. I mean, otherwise, like I don't mind literally rolling with like Russ and Tyreek and, just keeping Brees because Brees has a great playoff schedule coming up right now. Actually, on the Trade Target show on Wednesday, one of the moves I was going to say was if you're a Mixon owner, go trade Mixon for Brees, just, because you can buy low on Brees right now, kind of selling high on Mixon, even though he came off not a great game. But just based on their playoff schedules, it would be a nice trade. Yeah.
Selling high on him. So Carlos Sam, who's should I drop Tank Bisbee for another for Estimate or Gus Edwards?
I don't know if I'm there yet because like Estimate and Gus Edwards are still kind of like they're just more like handcuffs. Where like Bigsby, as long as he's healthy, like he's getting part of this offense. He's already earned what Estimate and Edwards are trying to work to right now. So I think I'm sticking with Bigsby, but if we get news that he is going to be out, then maybe you stash one of these guys. But Bigsby's playable now, so I'm not stashing somebody that's playable now. I mean, if you want to include him, to the ETN owner and package him up with somebody else, open up a roster spot, and then go grab one of these guys plus the guy that you get 2 for 1 in trade. I don't mind doing something like that if you're looking to move off Bigsby right now. That's how I try to do it.
But yeah, I'd still stick with Bigsby. Like he said, he's playing it. Audrey Estimate and Gus Edwards would be nice to have though if you can somehow put him on your roster. It's good holds. Big G Gomez is thinking of dropping Stevenson for Jalen. Stevenson for Jalen.
I still don't think you can get rid of Stevenson right now, man. Like as much as you can actually start Stevenson right now. Jalen's still working his way into it. He's still more of a handcuff. It's still, Najee there, and we've been saying it's coming for a while. So
for 2 years, we've been waiting
so
for
that's
it.
why I'm kind of like,
he just had a decent game. I'm not falling for it. So.
Yeah, so I think I'd still stick with Stevenson there
for right now.
Yeah, but if again, same thing like I said last time, if you could take Stevenson and somebody else, package him, open up that spot, get someone you want, plus get Warren, then go ahead and do that if you're looking to move off Stevenson if you don't feel comfortable starting him if you need to.
Yeah, but he's been the only comfortable running back I've been willing to start in the last forever. So.
Right. Of that tier. Yeah.
Yeah. All in one show. Here's traded Chase for Bijan and Pollard. Traded Bijan for Gibbs, Kittle, and Swift. And then Kittle and Swift for Puka and Connor.
Well, you shouldn't have traded Chase.
Yeah, he traded away like a top right receiver there for Bijan and Pollard. Then traded Bijan.
He has this whole team right here. Burrow, Gibbs, Connor, Flowers, London, Kelsey, Puka is benches, Higgins, Jacobs, Johnston, Pollard, Ridley, Waddle, and Pacheco on IR. I mean, Kittle, Swift. I mean, you got good packages.
If possible, with my lineup currently 6-4 and 6 game winning streak. Made a number of trades to make it happen. Trade happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been working. I mean, it sucks to see Chase go for 55 because he probably outscored all these guys, all combined together just this week, which is why you don't try to, why you don't trade one of those guys. But the fact that you did and you got a Bijan Pollard package isn't bad. I would have preferred to maybe get a wide receiver, instead of Pollard with Bijan. But again, you did what you did. Then you were able to get Bijan, trade Bijan away to get Gibbs, Kittle, and Swift, which is nice. You got basically the tight end one. Swift, who's been playing, really well, but someone I would probably have looked to move. But then he ended up trading Kittle away, which is probably the move I wouldn't have done. But I mean, he did have Kelsey, but I would have probably traded Kelsey and Swift for Puka and Connor. I would have probably preferred a little more. So, I mean, you eventually got to that wide receiver. You just had to go through a couple trades to eventually get there. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. Well done. And again, especially if you battled to 6-4, that's what matters. So you still got a shot.
Yeah, you're in there.
So I like it. Yeah, and got some good depth. So you're good.
You go home with CMC and Taylor face easy rest of the year compared to Henry and CD.
Oh, he was responding to that.
Jailing down is So here's a question for Smitty. Start Jennings over Dell next week. I am.
I still think I have Dell ahead, but Jennings is close. It'll be close. It'll probably be closer.
San Francisco's playing Seattle, man. They're gonna have a shootout over there.
Yeah,
San Francisco.
I think I will go Jennings over Dell. Yeah,
I would.
Come check with me again on Friday. Most likely, Phil and I will have the Niners game because we usually get it since we're both the Niners fans. So yeah, just ask me again and reconfirm that I have Jennings ahead of Dell then.
So we got G Santos is Jacobs against the Bears or Chase Brown against the Chargers.
Jacob against the Bears or Chase Brown against the Chargers. Probably going to go with Chase Brown. Bears are a tough defense, so the Chargers, but Jacob's somewhat banged up coming off the bye, should be good to go. But yeah, Chase Brown is the guy in that backfield right now, so I'm going to go Chase Brown.
Yeah, I agree. Dangerous Toys, mark my words, add Madison for the Raiders this week.
Yeah, not Ice of the Cat. I mean, he's been getting like 12 to 13 PPR points, which is fine, but you guys know how I feel about the Raiders, man. I just can't be part of that offense. So.
There's not enough there for you to be relying on any of that over there.
Yeah, I'd rather lose with somebody else than lose with Madison in my lineup. And that's just although I did have to play him one time, I think, in a dynasty league where an orphan team that I picked him up, that I kind of had him on from last year when he was on the Vikings, and kind of just kept him through. Wasn't able to move him last year, and had a spot start him 1 week, but that was it on 18 leagues. So it is what it is. What's the next one? Is that it?
So we got Jason Ortiz, will you trade a Darnold, Garrett, and Wilson for Daniels and Marvin Harrison?
Yes, I would. Such an upgrade over.
Darnold for Daniels and Marvin for Harrison for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
You just go for the upside on Daniels then.
Mostly the upside on Daniels, but I also like getting off of Wilson because the schedule they have coming up, plus the weather in New York. I'd rather take a guy who's playing in Arizona and has nice warm games in the desert most of the time.
Most of the time, right? Yeah. Go get it.
Yeah.
Go get some
Controlled
Daniels
environment. Yeah, and hold on, his playoff schedule for Harrison Jr. And again, guys like this usually start to pick up towards the end of the year. Playoff schedules: home against New England, at Carolina, which again it's not going to be snowing or anything crazy. And again, it's Carolina for your semifinals, and then the finals are at the Rams, divisional game, which could potentially be for a playoff spot. So that could be a huge shootout there. So yeah, I'll take Harrison and Daniels side.
So Shamrock said running back ad Trey Benson. Yeah, it was one of my ads.
Yeah, 25% owned on Sleeper. Definitely worth the stash.
And then lastly, the Smitty, Stafford or May.
For next week or for like trade?
I think he's going.
I guess we can answer both. So Stafford gets Patriots next week. May, and actually they get each other. May gets the Rams. I'd probably go Stafford if I'm picking one of the two to start. If it's, I think it's Stafford both ways. Still not quite there on me, but he's not a bad pickup. But I still have Stafford ahead.
So we got Jules Alexis Jurol Bimir. That's a long name. Should I trade Ridley for Shakir?
Don't ask me. I love Shakir, and especially with the Coleman injury and Cooper banged up, and Coleman's, he just catches everything that's thrown to him. As far as his catch percentage is just ridiculous. I probably would, but Ridley's been playing well lately. To me, it's a sell high. I would just try to sell higher than Shakir if you can, but personally, I feel more comfortable putting Shakir in my lineup over Ridley. I've literally been doing it. I think I somehow drafted Ridley like in the Scott Fish Bowl, but I've been playing Shakir, guys like that over him.
Like the whole time, right?
Yeah. Even when he goes off on the bench, I'm just like, I don't care. Yeah, and it's Scott Fish Bowl, so you can't trade, and I'm not dropping him, so he's just kind of like dying on my bench.
Sitting there. Do you think Barkley needs a handcuff? And if so, would you recommend Gainwell or Chipley? Gainwell.
No one's going to replace Barkley. You're better off, just getting somebody in a different backfield, so to speak. If Barkley goes down, it'll probably be Gainwell just based on what we've seen. But he's going to give you nowhere near the upside that Barkley gives you.
You don't get the same production.
Just hope he stays healthy, my guy.
Sometimes there's nobody else out there, and you got to handcuff somebody. So, yeah. So week 11 need a D to start. Lions over Green Bay.
Green Bay. Who do we say? Green Bay was just playing the Bears. I'll probably start the Green Bay defense against the Bears. Caleb can't do anything. Who else?
Jacksonville.
Lions are playing
at home.
Oh, that's both. You can't go wrong either way. Probably actually, I'll go with the Lions defense over the Jags.
I'd go the Lions. Yeah, I got the Lions over the Jags.
But you can't really go wrong. But yeah, I just think the Lions just better defense overall. Yeah, you're fine either way. Might be a difference of like 2 or 3 points depending on your scoring.
When should we start to panic for a player like Malik Neighbors? Now?
I was telling you guys to sell him a long time ago, like week 3 or week 4.
Yeah, I was like, you got a guy on the Giants
for Dynasty. I have no shares in Malik Neighbors.
I said get rid of anybody in the Giants.
Yeah,
except for maybe
Tyrone Chase. Biggest Giants fan here. Yeah, Tyron Chase, like I said, he's the only one worth anything. But yeah,
maybe.
Just like Barkley or something last year, because it's not relying on Daniel Jones.
Exactly.
I wouldn't panic. Let me answer it for real though. Carson, going back to that, when I want, brand new. I haven't seen the name before, so might not know kind of our humor and stuff and our past takes. But I want to hold off until I see what Drew Lock maybe does with Neighbors. Maybe he, gets it to him a little more, maybe sees even more targets potentially, because Drew Lock doesn't run like Daniel Jones does. So those could be just maybe 50 balls that he throws up for Neighbors that Neighbors may catch 50-50 of them and still be able to produce fantasy wise for it. And worst case, it's an interception, and now they're playing from behind anyway. Something they're pretty much used to. Exactly. So I mean, or right now you could potentially sell high saying, oh, they're probably going to bench Daniel Jones because of that injury clause. It'll be Drew Lock. It should be, anything's better than Daniel Jones, right? Like that's how you spend that in the trade, and then still try to, recoup from, some value. I know probably Tycoon and Phil and Kendall, they may, go the other way. I mean, in Dynasty, of course, I'm holding them, but in redraft, again, I've been saying for a long time, I looked bad for a while there when he was kind of the wide receiver one, but then he, got hurt. That concussion was out a few weeks. Daniel Jones turned back into a pumpkin, and here we are. So I don't want to say I told you so, but I kind of told you so. You got a couple.
No, we did. We told you so. I said it from the get go too. I wasn't even without the long explanation.
Like literally, Jennings may outproduce him by the end of the year for the rest of the year from now till then,
which is crazy. And he was out a couple games too. Well, the guys is so panic on Tyreek. I'm 5'5", shallow league, 8-man. Oh, okay, here we go. Have JD 5.
Yeah, you're panicking in the 8-man with Hill.
Kyron, JJ, Njoku, and Hill in the flex. I'm thinking of benching him for Chase Brown, or maybe put him them both on a trade for a lead wide receiver. I would start Chase Brown.
Yeah, I don't mind starting Chase Brown until you could potentially work something out there. But like, what are you going to get? You're going to get like CeeDee Lamb. You're just kind of trading apples for apples at that point. BTJ is kind of off the channel right now. Like maybe can you get like Jameson Williams and somebody else for Tyreek Hill? Like Jameson Williams, kind of like what I'm seeing there.
Maybe you can get Amon-Ra.
It's probably going to be somewhere in that range. Like maybe you can get. No, you're not getting Amon-Ra. Maybe you can get. Yeah, like maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. if you want to take that potential risk. MHJ plus something else for Tyreek. But again, you're kind of trading, underperformance for underperformance. Just again, that torn ligament is what scares me with Hill. So
420 Gall. Yeah,
we're live right now. 420 Gall. We're live.
Yeah, what's up? But we're about to end the show
for a little while longer. We're 1 minute past, but we're gonna try to get to the rest of these questions.
Yeah, that's it, man. This is it.
Hey, go Niners! Let's go. You skipped over that one.
Smack that, smack that. going back to handcuffs. I have Jacobs.
Hit that subscribe for me, Carson. Yeah.
Do you recommend Emmanuel Wilson, or once Marshawn Lloyd is healthy, will he be back up?
I still think Marshawn Lloyd was better than Wilson, but Wilson came up and played pretty well. Jacobs has stayed healthy so far. He usually kind of does. He's been banged up a little bit, but has been playing through it. I have Lloyd stashed kind of in my taxi squad and in a couple IR, on Dynasty and a couple IR spots in redraft. But with all the other injuries, I think I've had to move on for him right now. But yeah, I mean, I would probably just go with Wilson right now, unless we hear or see something else, because you never know, something could change, just like it changed with Akers and Ty Chandler. So just kind of keep staying tuned, especially as the Jacobs owner. Watch those, practice reports and, what the beat writers are kind of saying, tune into us here at Get Right Fantasy, and we'll kind of keep our ear on the ground for you and let you know kind of what we're hearing. But, as of right now, I still think it's Wilson.
Yeah. And this is the last one we're going to answer. And I just think this is crazy that you offered CMC, MHJ, and Stevenson. The guy said for Barkley, and he said no. I don't know what the hell that dude's smoking crack on. But you definitely shouldn't be offering CMC like that anymore. That sell window is closed. You should keep him. If you got him, roll with them, and be happy that you have him for the rest of the season. Hopefully he stays healthy. Do not be trading him unless he actually, something goes down again. But yeah, I would. That dude should have took that all day. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I could see though if you're kind of been, rolling eyes with Barkley, because again, CMC could get hurt. The injury could get re-aggravated, and then now you're stuck with MHJ and Stevenson, who haven't been producing great. If this was CMC, the number one overall pick, and had been playing all year and putting up number one, pick numbers similar to Barkley, then of course you would take that trade in a heartbeat. But I definitely don't blame the guy for not wanting to trade off the current RB1 for a guy who just played his first game of the year in week 10, for a guy who's only had 2 good games and maybe shown some promise here in the MHJ, and then Stevenson, who, I know you wouldn't even touch because he's a New England back, but you definitely aren't trying to find a way to put him in your lineup. So we're just talking about,
I'm just saying at this point, you waited this long to get CMC or, whatever, and he finally back. I just don't see what the point of moving on him. And I
Yeah.
I can see the Barkley.
Well, because
part,
of
but
the
I don't
same
know.
thing, he's trying to
I would
sell high.
just jump in on CMC.
Yeah, no, he's trying to sell high because CMC had a good game, and if you're worried he's going to get hurt, then now you can sell him high. You know, maybe go sell him to the Mason owner or something. So
Good luck. Good looking out,
let's
my
go.
guy. Just hit
Appreciate
that
that.
subscribe. Let's go. Let's go.
There you go.
Buy or
Last
sell
one here.
Mahomes.
There it is. Buy or sell
Buy or sell
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
I'm holding. I'm neither buying nor
I'm
selling. Not someone I'm going to look at.
He's heating up.
And
He's actually had two decent games recently, where he's actually put up some decent numbers lately. 3 now. Okay, three decent games. So I know it's been rough. I've had him. I have a lot of them. I have a lot of shares of him. And it's too late. Like, at this point, you got to hold on to him and just ride it out for the rest of the season. And I don't think you can get much
22, 30, and then back to 18. He's been in that like 13 to 18 range kind of all year. But gets Buffalo next, which should be a shootout. Then Carolina, he should be able to dice them up, or it'll be a hunt game. Las Vegas, the Chargers, Cleveland, Houston, Pittsburgh is playoff schedule. So not great. So I'm definitely not seeking to buy. If I can sell and get like a Jaden Daniels or someone, and something else and sell on name value, then for sure. And Captain Crunch, not quite starting estimate yet. I just have more as a stash and a hold at the moment. I mean, unless you got nobody else, then he would be the one in that backfield that I'd want to start. So there we go. And Big G, we appreciate you, man.
Give us a like and give us a subscribe. I know there's a lot of guys on here. We do need some likes. We appreciate all the comments and the interaction with us. We love talking to our people here. That's what we do. We're all about the community. So join us here on our Sleeper channel. All the links are in the description here, right? To get to our Sleeper, if you want to get, more breakdown on your team, ask more questions, things like that. We got our guys here that you got to join our fantasy people here. The Fantasy Football Tavern, the Extra Point with Phil Ruskin, and our guy here, the Fantasy Boardroom. So you got to check out our shows. We got basically content coming out every day of the week for you guys. Mondays we got the Waiver Adds. Tuesdays we got the Fantasy Board. I can't even think of his name right now. It's slipping my mind for whatever reason.
Tycoon.
Tycoon, thank you. Wednesdays, Anthony are back with a buy low, sell high. Wednesdays again, Phil Ruskins. Fridays, 2 points, 2 games, 2 shows, 6 and 8 p.m. for sit start part 1 and 2, and then Sundays active Q&A with Mike holding it down. So yeah, I mean, literally content every day of the week. So come check us out. So give us a like, give us a subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow. Is again Tycoon with the Fantasy Boardroom. Then Anthony and I will be back on Wednesday. So yeah, I mean, everything's content
Keep on rolling
every day of the week. So check us out. For my boy Anthony here, he sounds a little under weather now, man. I'm trying to save him.
Thank us home. I'm like in the stream. I'm ready to hit the outro as soon as.
So at this point, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm gonna say goodnight. Peace out. See you guys tomorrow.
Wanted to white fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up.